candidates, nominated candidates who have been denominated or who have willingly withdrawn from the race. The focus is on the nominated candidates, but there are those who have voluntarily withdrawn from the race and notified the commission as the law permits. And yet, the ballot papers are already out, they have been printed. The law provides that where such a scenario occurs, then the commission must ensure the voters are adequately notified at the polling station. First of all, we put up a notice at every polling station indicating that candidate so-and-so has withdrawn from the race or has been denominated, is no longer a candidate. And therefore, don't give your vote to that candidate. That is one measure. The other one is, which I've also seen in practice during by-elections, the presiding officer, when he or she is handing over the ballot paper to the voter, also adds his or her voice, that candidate so-and-so is no longer in this race. So don't cast or give him or her your vote. It will be a wasted vote. So those are the two measures we apply. I don't know whether we also do radio announcements. Do we? No, we don't. The issue is to inform or to notify the voters in that electoral area where the candidate was nominated to contest. So, a notice at the polling station, and then a word or a caution by the presiding officer as to the voters. There's, I think we are always cautious on the role, the accessibility by persons with disabilities to polling stations and their involvement in electoral processes. We are always cautious of that. And that's why I think the law provides for specific or special elections for persons with disabilities. And as a commission, we endeavor as much as possible to include these people in our programs, in our processes, and in whatever we do. Now, invalid votes. Indeed, as Mr. Byabakama from the Uganda Human Rights Commission has observed, this is a matter of great concern to us. As he has said, we find the number of invalid votes are far more or higher than what some candidates even score as valid votes. Now, in this, there are two things. One, there are some people who deliberately render their vote invalid because the law says there are two recognized marks of voting, either tick or a thumbprint. But someone gets a ballot paper and writes, "My man," "our man," and this is an informed fellow. He's literate. He's writing "our man," "our woman," or he ticks the candidate of his or her choice, then puts a cross on the others. So he knew what he was doing, but others, they get the ballot paper, put it in without even putting a mark. It's deliberate. All these are deliberate or intentional processes. But in this training, we have also emphasized in the training of our polling officials, particularly the presiding officers, we have emphasized the aspect of when in law does a vote or a ballot become invalid. There are on occasions where the voter puts the tick or the thumbprint in the box bearing the photograph or the picture of the candidate, or the symbol, or the name, and not in the designated box where the tick is supposed to be. And some presiding officers, we understand, have been declaring this invalid. Yet the law is very clear that a vote is not invalid for reason on account of the mark not being placed in the prescribed area or space. If the person, the voter, puts the mark or the thumbprint on the picture of the candidate or the symbol or the name, the law says the intention of the voter can clearly be discerned that he or she intended to vote for this candidate. It's not invalid. So the aspect, the emphasis on training, I've talked to my field officers and they have told me, they have emphasized this aspect, that they should not render or declare a ballot paper invalid simply because the person did not put the mark in the designated space. But also, from what we have observed, because as I said, my colleagues and I, during by-elections, we've been in the field. The crowd of people around seem to overwhelm at times the officials managing the process of counting. Our process here is so transparent. I don't know whether it happens in other countries. The presiding officer gets a ballot paper and shows it to everybody. Then the people around they shout, "Oh, that is invalid," in the local language. Kafu, kafu, invalid. Now, because it is a crowd, the raucous is so high. At times, the presiding officer gets. I was there. I was around one time. I think I was at one of the polling stations in one of the by-elections somewhere. It was a rural constituency. I happened to be around during counting. The voter had placed the tick outside the margin of the box where the tick should be. This is the box where the tick should be. The tick was outside the box. The crowd shouted, "Kafu!" I said, even though it is placed outside the box, but you can see it is within the line of the box, but outside the box. So really, the intention can be discerned. So, but that's when the presiding officer gained some courage and said, "Oh yes." But the noise, the voices of the people around had intimidated him. So that's why we are saying we need to have some kind of control on who should be around the polling station, shouldn't. That's why we are saying, and we have tried to explain this. When we say, I think it is better for people when they have voted, although the law allows them to keep around, first give space for other voters to come. Leave a peaceful process to take place. You start, just leave. Because the issue of invalid votes is not because all of them are actually invalid. So we have emphasized that point in our training programs, that the law provides as long as the intention of the voter can be understood or discerned, even though the mark is not placed in the right space or box, that is not an invalid box. Thank you, Mr. Byabakama. We shall again emphasize it over these remaining few days, so that on 15th, the presiding officers, should be in position to distinguish between what is actually invalid vote. The only invalid vote is where the tick crosses from one box to another. That is clearly invalid. From one box of this candidate to another box, that is invalid. Or the thumbprint somehow crosses from one box to another. Then you can't tell the intention of the voter. Was he voting for this candidate, the one below, or the one up? That one is different. Now, the register, the voters register, the law provides that every candidate or political party which has presented candidates be given the polling register. And this polling register, the candidate or the party is supposed to produce more copies or photocopy the register relevant for that particular polling station and give their agents a copy of the register for that polling station to enable the agents in the process of identifying and verifying voters to do so. The other polling register is with the presiding officer who has it at that table, and in the event that the voter has not come with the national ID or voter location slip, which have a barcode which is supposed to be scanned by this kit or machine, but the person is a registered voter, he's on the manual or physical register. They can now go to the manual register, look for his particulars or her particulars, then go to the BVVK once he or she has been confirmed to be on that polling station. So the register, we have it displayed or open. It is with the agents and it is with the presiding officer. And we want to encourage all agents, please, can you avail, candidates and political parties, avail your agents at polling stations with copies of the register. And secondly, our distinguished guests, the Electoral Commission offers to train candidates' agents for free. When we are training our other polling officials, we also train the agents of the candidates on the modalities, on the going zone at the polling station. Because at times some of these agents report on account of not being conversant or acquainted with what goes on at a polling station. Now, I regret that we did not carry the disaggregated data, but I can say generally, I think in terms of percentage, the female voters at 51% and the male voters at about 49%. The female voters are far more than the male voters, but I think by about 1 million, isn't it? By about 1 million. But we shall avail you the disaggregated data between now and polling day. We have it, only that we forgot to carry it with us here to the commission. I think those are the questions so far. Is there any question I've not answered? Thank you. Commissioner Anthony? Oh, Afande.
Yes. That's it, Lord Chair.
Numberless vehicles. No, Afande has one question to answer. Numberless vehicles.
Yes.
I don't know whether the traffic rules permits those ones also.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lord Chairperson. And thank you, Albert from Kawale, for that observation. I think in passing, the Chairperson has partially answered this. This contravenes the traffic laws and regulations of this country. But as you realize, the situation during campaigns and elections has its own dynamics. And perhaps on our part, I could say some level of restraint was exhibited, but that's not allowed. And it's good that we are seriously identifying this as an issue. We shall have more efforts and processes to ensure that this does not occur, because eventually it could also bring us some other unwanted situations where you can't properly identify the motor vehicles concerned. I thank you very much.
Yes, I think the next round of questions starts with the Friends of Uganda. In the case of failure of the biometric kit, what happens? Now, in our planning, of course, we were cognizant of the fact that a machine is a machine. It can develop any problems anytime, which were not foreseen. And that's why we have provided for 2 kits per polling station. One, they are not going to be used concurrently, but rather one will be on standby, just in the event the one which is running develops or malfunctions or develops issues. That is one. Secondly, we shall also have our technical teams at every sub-county who are called, or we refer to them as troubleshooters. These are IT people who will be in position to respond to any report that both kits have failed. We don't anticipate both kits to really fail, but in the event that happens, we shall have our technical teams, the troubleshooters, at every sub-county to respond to issues concerning the functionality of the kits in that sub-county. So that is one of the measures. But we have 2 kits. And the batteries were manufactured to run for about 15 to 17 hours. We also have power banks to back up these batteries in the event they run low on power. Now, John Makatamale, an observer. Well, if an observer has been properly accredited and issued a tag by the Electoral Commission, we expect every member of the security agencies to recognize that. To recognize that this person or this individual has gone through a due lawful process accounting for his or her presence at this polling station as evidenced or proved by the tag issued by the Electoral Commission. So I think the IGP is here. I believe this point was raised in your I think you were around, you were absent. I don't know, you had stepped out. Okay. I think you also say something about this. Our security forces or personnel who are going to be deployed at these polling stations will have to be sensitized strictly. I always say, as a commission, we say, when you are enforcing the law, you must make sure you are not breaking the law. Show abilities. Indeed, what if a voter does not have, is an amputee, no hands and therefore no fingers? The other day during the hearing of the petitions, I think there was one lady who came with she was a leper, no fingers, but was said to have signed a form or something like that. Now this one goes to a polling station. We have said this system is different from the one we used in 2021. 2021, the system could only confirm or identify voter using the fingerprints. This one has the facial feature for facial. They will take the photo, the picture of that voter using the camera. Even if one is visually impaired or blind, the person has a face. They want to believe each one of us has a face. Whether you are visually impaired, whether you are what, you must have a face. So if the fingerprints cannot read, then the facial will address that shortcoming. So that should not be a problem. Then the other issue was on Isaac. I don't know whether I understood you, I must confess. To advance a duty of care. Yes, we owe a duty of care to all our voters. And that's why we go out of our way, because the power of the citizens under Articles 1 is sacrosanct. It must be guarded, it must be protected. The voters must be enabled to approach the polling station without any fear, without any intimidation, without any obstruction or hindrance, and cast their votes. That's why we are coming out strongly on this business of people keeping around the polling station when they have cast their votes for 6 hours, 7 hours. You know, from experience, we have seen they create an intimidating environment in some cases. One voter told me, I've been telling this story, in 2021, he was told that polling station you are going to vote from, there is chaos. Some people, some young people are on the road. When they see you and they perceive you are not going to vote for the candidate they support, they create an intimidating environment and threaten you. So this voter said, if that be the case, I better go defensive. So he got a hammer, a real hammer, metallic, put it in his jacket, and went to the polling station. When they tried to confront him, he said, "Before you kill me, I will die with one of you." He pulled out the hammer. And that's when I think they gave up. Now, we want to avoid all these kind of scenarios. Some people are easily put off by any semblance of chaos or intimidation. The women, the persons with disabilities, the elderly, they are put off by all this. So that's why we are saying, let us create space for every eligible voter to come and cast his or her vote. Let us be respectful of other people's rights. Don't block the roads. In any case, some of these polling stations are so, you will see your distinguished observers. Some of these polling stations, especially in Kampala or some urban areas, are in congested areas, squeezed areas, to the extent that even observing the 20-meter rule may not be realized. And mind you, in Uganda, our booth is open. We don't have closed booth when we are polling. Our booth is an open basin, in open space. Now, and that is the booth where the person is supposed to exercise his sovereign power by voting for a candidate of his choice in secret. Now, the people who are standing, if people cannot observe the 20-meter, they will just observe this. So this one is voting. I can see he's going for the last person on the list, on the ballot paper. We can tell that, okay, we know. So we are saying to safeguard the sanctity of a secret ballot, to avoid unnecessary tension and commotion at the polling station. Mind you, these supporters, these people are supporting different candidates. They are supporting different candidates. And many of them are so animated about their candidates. They are so worked up by their candidates. They are so supportive of their candidates. They don't want anything to stand in their way or the way of their candidate winning this election. You put these people in one location for 5 hours, 6 hours. Who will contain the situation? I think even Afande's people might get overwhelmed in that situation, because we are talking of 50,739 polling stations, all of them running at the same time. And each polling station has on average 600 voters. Some polling stations are what we call polling centers, which we have split from, say, voters whose names are in this alphabetical A to M, one polling station here. Another one about 5 meters away. Another one about 10 meters away. They are all in one location. If you have about 4 of those, or 5 polling stations in one center, those are about 3,000 voters. You tell 3,000 voters to remain within a radius of 20 meters from the polling station, 3,000 from morning to evening or to counting time of votes, and you expect them to remain organized, orderly, tranquil, civil. So we must create an environment that allows all voters to come and cast their vote. So, Isaac, the duty of care is to give assurance to all voters